Hey guys, welcome back to the Kool-Aid Podcast. Welcome back to season 2, episode 160. Welcome back to another episode of our weekly news roundup, our new series that we're starting, in which we talk about all the major topics that have been going on in the footballing world, especially Barcelona in the past week. But guys, before we get started on the episode, remember, if you guys want to join and give your thoughts, comments, and discussions, go on Twitter at Kool-Aid Podcast 10. I posted a link on there. Just move your mouse, go to our profile, and then you'll be able to find the comment right there. But let me introduce my co-host for the night, Alex. You guys know
Hey
who he
guys,
is.
how's it going? How are you guys?
Okay, so okay, so guys, episodes and topics that we're going to be discussing on today's episode. We're going to be talking about the new offside rule. We're going to be giving our thoughts on what we think about that. We're going to be talking about Arda Guler. How close is that to being done? What are we going to think about the signing? And then lastly, we're going to be talking about the potential departures from the club. But now moving on to our first topic of the day, right here, Alex. Ahead of wait, no, this is the new offside rule that is expected to be into working. No, this is how the new offside rule is expected to work. The player must be fully ahead of the opponent. The rule, I believe, it's going to be implemented in 2025, I believe, around that time. And it's going to be first in Netherlands, Sweden, and Italy. And then if it's successful, they're going to transfer it over into different leagues. But Alex, what are your thoughts on this offside rule?
I think it's a terrible step in the wrong direction.
Okay.
I'm very much against it. I really don't see the point of making this rule in the first place. I think offsides were fine as they were. I didn't realize that was one of the biggest problems surrounding the game. But I think that's yet another mistake by Infantino and FIFA. Um, I really like I said, I really don't see the point to making this. I think it's stupid. Why are you making the guy be completely offside? That makes no sense. And that makes the game so much more difficult for the defense because
Yeah.
you're essentially
It's going to favor the attackers like tremendously in this
right.
situation.
Imagine, and obviously like this, right? If you have a good team, you should be able to adapt. But imagine having a player like Mbappe or someone like uh
Dembele.
Dembele, like just cherry
Dem-
pick off the wing, like
Vinny, for example, any fast players
yeah,
going to be
any pacey player, like it's gonna be so OP because they don't gotta be fully ahead. They're just a little bit that, and you people underestimate how important that extra inch or those extra 2 inches are, especially when you're sprinting towards the ball.
exactly. And something to think about is that the attacker, they're running towards the goal. The defender, they're going to have to be running backwards.
Exactly.
And that millisecond or that extra yard that the defender's going to get, it's going to be tremendously advantageous to them.
Yeah,
But
I really, real quick, yeah, I really
yeah.
don't see the point in any of this. I don't even know who even thought that this was like yes,
Mhm.
the game is missing a better offside rule. Like that's no,
Yeah.
I think it's a complete waste of time and money.
Hmm. Well, I think FIFA wanted to change the offside rule is because of like the people complaining about VAR and everything, and just like people
Then
complaining,
fix
oh,
VAR,
yeah, but
fix VAR. Why are you changing the whole rule?
exactly. People were complaining like, "Oh my god, VAR is taking too long," and people were just trying like millimeter lines and everything, trying to discuss. A lot of people say, for example, like, "Hey, if your toenail is offside, it's offside," and they were complaining about that, and this all to like the giving the an unfair advantage. But when you think about it, this offside rule, I believe, is going to give so many more issues. Just because when you think about it, if the entirety of the player has to be offside, for it to be offside, people are just going to put one foot right next to the defender and have their entire body behind them, and then that's going to be counted on side. I believe it's going to be it's going to require so much more
And imagine
precision for the defender.
imagine someone like Erling Haaland, who's already a tall, lengthy guy.
Yeah,
His feet are I don't know how long. Imagine him just putting a foot slightly behind him so he's on side. He's already a quick two.
yeah,
Like it's so
yeah.
overpowered. Like
Hmm.
why are you making this rule? I really wish I understood. I really think it's unnecessary. It's stupid, and it's really a waste of resources. I
Hmm.
don't know. Like if you're really so concerned about VAR, maybe you could spend money on better VAR refs, because we've seen some atrocious mistakes being
Exactly. So it's just some poor decision being made. Yeah.
maybe even go as far as to, I mean, this is also kind of a long shot because it's not precise yet, but maybe go into the possibility of AI just doing the VAR checks. That way, it's quicker. There's no
In the
human
World
error.
Cup, they had like a semi-automatic system being in place, and that worked. We didn't see major problems with
Yeah,
that.
I again, I really do think that
Hmm.
there's better ways to handle this. Do I think changing an entire rule that's been in the game for over what 50 years? Do I really think that's a
Hmm.
step in the right direction? No, I really don't. I think it's unnecessary.
But how do you think this is going to affect a team's play style, for example? Because nowadays people are going more into like the high press, the more like possession based football, having the
Well,
high line.
I mean, yeah,
Um,
I think mainly the thing that's going to be affected more is the highline philosophy that we're seeing a lot more in teams like that you said that are very high ball possession,
uh-huh.
high press.
Do you think it's gonna die? Because for example, like unless your defenders are like literally perfect, because we already like some of our teams, especially Barcelona, sometimes they even struggle with the high, with that high line and just like making sure everyone is on side. Like they struggle at time. So could
Yeah,
we see the death of the high line?
I don't think we'll see the death of it, but if this is successful, as you said, and it does make its way to the top five major leagues, I mean, at least in the first few years of this implementation, I think we wouldn't see the death of it, but we would see I would say a radical change in the way that the highline is used, just because again, these are people, they're not race cars. You can't expect a defender to be able to, I mean, and again, they already do this, right? When you play a ball over the defense, if they're playing a high line, the defense has to come back and recover the ball, like, and track back. That's a no-brainer, right? But if you're already giving like an extra significant advantage to
But for
the
example, when you look at that bottom image,
yeah,
if you when you look at that bottom image, that's a full yard.
yeah,
That's a full yard that the defender is being given. And when you look above, that's like I would say a little bit towards the middle, but that's not how people are going to take advantage because players they're going to try to get every single advantage that they can. Imagine that yellow player, the person who has the yellow kit on, being a couple inches ahead and just having his foot um, in line with the defender. He's going to be onside, and he's going to take advantage of that. And I believe that now we're going to be seeing just pacey defenders go skyrocket in price even more. For example, when you think about players such as uh, who, oh, well, this is like a poor example, but players such as Maguire or Pique or Chiellini or players who or center backs who aren't that pacey, for example, that relied on their IQ, I think it's going to be even more difficult.
yeah, to be
Because
a center back in this.
Exactly, it's going to be more difficult to be a center back, and I believe it's going to help the attackers even more. Um, you're going to
Yeah,
see players like Dembele and Mbappe, Vinny, all these players get more and more goals. And then, for example, I wouldn't be surprised if some games they end up what 4-5 nil or like 4-5, 5-6, something like that. Because how many offside calls are given in the game? How many offside goals happen?
yeah. So two things I wanted to say real quick, because I know we also got other topics to talk about.
Yeah,
So first of all, I do think that what you said is a very interesting fact, that maybe an indirect effect of this rule change would be that, yeah, there will be a huge change in the market. We will see a lot more being spent on pacey defenders. We will surely see players like, say, Araujo, Kyle Walker,
Kunde,
who's already
Kunde.
older, but Kunde, Balde, Tio Hernandez. I think we will definitely see defenders like that who are already pacey have an increase in their market value.
Okay.
I think for sure I hadn't even thought about that. So thank you for pointing that out. But I did want to say something else. I honestly think at the end of the day, this is FIFA trying to make the game more offensive and make the game more attractive. And I
Yeah.
disagree. And I mean, I think this is why, but I disagree with this notion, because I honestly, as someone who loves playing defense, and as someone who, I mean, of course, I enjoy watching nice goals, and I love watching top goal scorers like Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, Lewandowski. I enjoy all of that, but I'm also someone who really appreciates a proper tackle, good blocking, good man marking. Like
Mhm.
it's stuff that like if you play the position, you appreciate more. But I think this is FIFA's attempt at trying to kill some of the park the bus philosophy that some teams have, and I think that at the end of the day, they're just trying to.
No, no, but
Uh,
wouldn't this like even reinforce that park the bus
yes,
mentality?
yes, and no, because while at the same time you think the teams want to drop back a little bit more, this would also encourage teams to be more aggressive in the way they attack, and not obviously if you're gonna yes you can defend the whole game
Well, for
by
example, like
hitting.
okay, I pose this situation to you right now. What happens if, for example, like a small team, let's say Girona or someone, they sit back, they sit back with the back of five, that basically the offside rule, it's not going to make a big difference. Why? Because you have that back five with four midfielders, just like making passes and space available, like very hard to play. And then you have a pacey player up top. I mean, maybe two or three. You just love it. You just love it, and you know that your player's going to win on the race.
Well, yeah,
Well,
but that would be assuming that Girona, while parking the bus, even have ball possession to begin with. So I
I
see.
mean, wait, hey, like they are going to get the ball position at some point. All they need is
Oh
just
no,
like
no, no.
one.
I understand that. I get where you're coming from, but I do think you can really interpret this both ways because while yes, you might think teams might also drop back more, they might also see this as an opportunity and say, hey, we have a bit of an advantage now. We have so and so.
Okay.
He's a pacey player. Let's try to win the ball back a little bit more. Let's try to keep possession just a little bit more so we can pick out the right pass. Because just because you have the ball, just because the center back, for instance, has the ball, doesn't mean he's just gonna clear it like like an NFL field goal and just hope that um, that one of the forwards will pick it up. I mean, I don't think that's the most effective way. Sure, it can work every now and then, but obviously the defense is gonna catch on. And again, you're also forgetting that teams like Barcelona like pressing, and if they do play a team like that, they're not gonna have a lot of the ball. But now we're getting into specifics. I do think at the end of the day, this is an attempt by FIFA to try to make the game more
Yeah.
offensive and
Yeah.
more maybe more attractive to non fans. I think at the end of the day, it's also because the World Cup is going to be in the United States, and I think maybe I'm just having a conspiracy theory right now, but I do think the World Cup's going to be in the U.S. They're saying Americans like high scoring sports. They like basketball. They like football. They even like baseball because baseball can have high scoring games. If we can make this and we can make the sport maybe more enjoyable to the casual fan or to someone who doesn't watch the sport as much with a higher score line, then they might get more viewers and they might
Well,
profit.
but do you think that's a good thing?
I'm completely against it because I think it
Okay.
ruins the game. But
Yeah.
I think I can see this as a motive. Again, I'm just conspiring here. I don't know if
Uh-huh.
that would actually be the reason.
Well, we're gonna have to see like how it all plays out, and I'm thinking that this rule is gonna be changed back, but hopefully, it does because I really don't want to be seeing this rule. But moving on to our next topic, we both give our thoughts on the situation. We both are in disagreement of this new offside rule. If it's not broken, don't fix it. I don't see why FIFA should be go changing things. I know it's hard because of VAR. But once again, just have more competent people working bar, and then
And yeah,
you
and
should.
that's the other thing that we've said, but I'll want to reinforce. We know VAR isn't perfect. It makes a lot of mistakes, and there's a lot of times where we become frustrated with the decisions being made because they're wrong or they could have been made better. But VAR is the best thing we have so far. People were dying for it to come into the
Yeah,
game because they're like, oh, we can fix this decision, and this is what happens. Eventually, it's gonna get like this. You just gotta live with it. I'm sure there's a way to fix it, but I don't think this is one of them.
exactly. But guys, next topic that we wanted to discuss is Arda Guler. Arda Guler, he's very, it's very soon. He is most likely going to become a Barcelona player soon, and it's being rumored that he's going to be offered a 5-year contract, fee around 17.5 million euros. That's his release clause from Fenerbahce. He's 18-year-old. He's a cam, a very exciting young prospect. However, Barcelona don't know if they're gonna get him this summer. We need departures in order for signings to be made, and so an option for Barcelona is that if he does not sign this summer, he will sign next summer. Deco is in Turkey. He's trying to get things moving and finalize the deal. But I want to ask you, Alex, what do you make of Arda Guler? Do you like the player?
Well, to be honest with you, until I saw the rumors, until recently when I saw them,
Hmm.
I didn't know much of him. I had heard rumors of him because he is a wonder kid in the making. You know, he looks like a very exciting and promising young player. But like I said, I hadn't heard much of him. So I've seen some of his highlights, and I think he's a wonderful player to have. He's a very creative type of player. He plays more in that 10 position,
Yeah,
which
he does.
I think I don't think it's something that we're lacking right now, but for sure, it's something you can reinforce. And ideally, maybe in these first few years, if he does sign now or whether it be next summer, he could be a player that comes off the bench, gives squad depth. But for sure, I think he's a player
But
that we.
do you think that that's a good thing? Because he's 18-year-old. That's something we have to keep in mind. He's 18-year-old. He's a very talented player. Wouldn't you want a player such as Arda Guler to have lots of minutes? Wouldn't you want him to be on the pitch? For example, like you don't want a repeat of Pablo Torre, where we sign another talented young player, but he doesn't get minutes, and we
No, no,
stunt
I mean,
his development.
I'm gonna have to agree with you, but at the same time, are you willing to bench Pedri, Gavi, Gundogan, Dembele, or
Yeah.
Lewandowski for him? There's like how they say there's an opportunity cost in that, right? Um, you are giving up excellent players for someone who might be good for us. Now I know he looks like a great player and all, but when you take someone in that young, we saw it with Balde, right? When Balde started playing more this season before he became a regular, we will see performance off the bench. We will see him get minutes in unimportant matches
Okay.
like that. Like I think he has the potential to become a starter and to become a key player, but we can't just expect to bring him in and say, "Hey, you're starting against Madrid." And I know that's not what you were saying, but just giving an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah. I completely agree. And Xavi does view him as an interior, for example. Like he would be playing in the interior role. He wouldn't be playing out wide, for example, like Yamin Yamal or Ansu Fati. He's not a winger. He wouldn't be playing in that position. He would be playing as an interior in that right center mid position. And some of his qualities is that he's very good on the 1v1. He can be his man. He can give that final pass. And that's something that Barcelona lack in the midfielders, for example. Like Xavi has repeatedly said that our midfielders, they lack that final shot, that final pass. And he said, like, we're missing talent in that area. And Arda Guler gives that.
I mean, Xavi obviously knows the team way more than I ever will, and he infinitely knows more about the game that I do. But if you were to ask me, I don't know if it's um, talent that we're lacking. I just think it's maybe I don't want to be rude, but I think sometimes they just don't have the balls to take the shot at the end. Like I don't know, maybe it's the philosophy of Barca or their individual play style, but there's a lot of times where I see Pedri get the ball at the top of the box, and
And then shoot.
there's not really a clear ball to give, and he tries to pass it to the side, and yeah, this can work sometimes when you're giving it out wide, and maybe you can get across it and score, but if you don't really have an option, just shoot. And
Hmm.
same can be said for Gabi, who also plays in a more advanced role. Now, I wouldn't be able to tell you the same for the young, but
Hmm.
that's also another reason why I'm very excited with Gundogan coming to the team, because even if he plays a more defensive role, maybe he plays more, even if he plays more like a five, you're still forgetting that this guy is someone who can score goals and in crucial times when they need it. I mean, you can
You're right.
just look back at last season, not this from the past, but the previous, where he scored that vital goal. I think it was two goals, but he scored the winning goal that gave City the Premier League, that they gave him the league, and he also in that FA Cup final that they just beat United in. Again, class performance from him. Scored
They.
two bangers. So
Mhm.
again,
He
you're bringing in someone that does have that potential as well.
exactly. Gundogan was very vital in those key moments for Manchester City. But another thing that we have to remember is that Barcelona is also signing a player for the future. Like Arda Guler, he's very young. He's 18 years old. He would be in Barcelona for hopefully, let's say, like a decade or more. And he's a player that we build a project with. And something that we have to keep in mind is, for example, Xavi, he probably won't be here for those 10 years. And so is the club signing a Xavi player or a player for the club? I believe that this is a signing for the club, regardless of the manager, that he's going to get played. And this you could say the same thing for Vitor Roque, who is on fire right now for in Brazil. I believe he scored 5 goals in 6 games or something like that. And he recently played against Real Madrid's Endrick. I think it finished a tie, but these are very young and talented players who, if they come to Barcelona, would have an important role. And something that I do like, for example, is that Deco, he's having more prominence. At the very start, I was a little bit skeptical on Deco, but his acquisition so far and his target ID, it's been very good. For example, you have Arda Guler, you have Vitor Roque, you have players of quality who can improve the squad. And on top of that, so something I do like to mention is that if Barcelona, they don't sign Arda Guler this summer, he can be signed for next summer. Like get him signed for Barcelona, but he doesn't have to come in now. He can come in later in a year or so, and that gives him time to develop, time for him to get comfortable and everything. And that's something good because, for example, he's very young. We don't need him at right now. Right now, he can come in later. He can come in a year, and then he can come and boost the squad. But Alex, do you think he's going to be coming this summer, or would you want him to come this summer, or would you want him to have more time in Turkey to develop?
So, that's actually a great question. I'm kind of thinking of it this way: if his arrival keeps us from getting players that we desperately need, so maybe a CDM or someone that plays right back, or someone that we need more desperately, then I wouldn't want him now. I'd rather have him next summer. But assuming that there's like his arrival doesn't really change anything major for the transfer window, then yeah, for sure, come already to the team. It's just, again, we have to consider, right? He's someone who's playing in a completely different league, which, not to shit on the Turkish league, but it's nowhere near La Liga in quality or intensity. So we will have to see how he transitions here. Um, but to be honest with you, if he's someone that's that talented and Xavi wants him that badly, it's for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So again, hopefully he can come. Hopefully he can get his minutes, and hopefully he can actually do something for the team. And we'll see
If
more.
if Barcelona could only sign, for example, Arda Güler or Vitor Roque, one of them would be coming now and one of them will be coming later. Who would you want to come in now?
I feel like, considering the stuff that we need, I probably say Arda Guler, because I don't think.
Really?
Well, yeah, I know there were a lot of games where we barely scored any goals. But the reason why I'm saying this is because I also feel like at times we needed some more we needed the players in the midfield to be more assertive and to take matters more into their hands. I don't think it was always that one.
Okay.
Although he did have games where, yeah, he just played badly. But I don't think maybe bringing another striker will fix it. I think maybe supplementing the midfield with another quality player who can both
Okay.
create and finish. I think that would also be important.
Okay. I'm actually gonna go for Vitor Roque, for example, because I would say we do have quality in that midfield, especially with the incoming of Gundogan. However, up top, we don't have a backup striker and we don't have that much quality.
That's also
And
true.
so Lewandowski last season, like the start of the season, he was amazing. The second half of the season, he was struggling a little bit. And so when I look at the squad at the needs of the squad, I look at Vitor Roque, someone who can give competition to Lewandowski, and when Lewandowski isn't firing on all cylinders, he can replace him. That's just my thought. But now moving on to our final topic of the episode, guys. We're going to be talking about possible departures of the club. One that is already confirmed is Samuel Umtiti. Samuel Umtiti's contract has been terminated. We are going to be saving 20 million euros in wages. That's going to be absolutely huge. But another player that's being mentioned is Clement Lenglet. We have to remember that Clement Lenglet is still a Barcelona player. He's going to be coming in the club. Barcelona, as this report from Gerard Romero, Barcelona won 15 fixed for Lenglet. Tottenham offered 10 million plus 5. And I would say just take the money, Barcelona, because we need space in that salary mass. Because like 5 million euros, I don't think it's going to help that tremendously. But we have to remember 5 million is 5 million. And so, Alex, I want to ask you this question: what do you make of Umtiti's departure and the possible departure of Longley? Because there are also players were also being mentioned. For example, such as Des and Julian Araujo, two players who play in that right back position. And Barcelona idea currently is to take them for preseason and see how they do. But for example, does Xavi really want all these players to be coming into the squad and having like a bloated squad for preseason when he isn't going to be counting them for the season?
Right. So to answer your question one at a time, with all due respect, I don't know why we're giving Umtiti a thank you post.
Thank
And
you.
I really no offense. Like I know he was a great player in 2018 when the World Cup happened, and yeah, but no, I really don't know why Barca did that. I mean, obviously they do it for every player that leaves, but um, yeah. So I think Umtiti leaving is actually great for us because it's another player that we're making more space in the roster. Where um, obviously adding more money that we can use on our wages for other
Yeah.
players.
Hmm.
Similar story for Lenglet. To be honest with you, that's very bittersweet because yeah, Barca is losing him, but Spurs are gaining him. So
Yeah.
no, but in all seriousness, I think that would be phenomenal. I would just take whatever offer Tottenham's going to throw because we both know that. Well, I mean, at least I know very well that Daniel Levy is very difficult to negotiate with. I mean, he
He
makes it
is.
out just to
Mhm.
make any signing. So just take what you're offered. Get rid of Langley. He's not going to play either way. So you're doing yourself a favor and getting some money in return.
That's
Um,
perfectly fine, Bobo. What do you do with Des and Julian Araujo, for
right.
example?
So I was gonna get to that now. Look, um, based on what I've seen from Dest and from what I've seen from Araujo, I have more hope in Araujo. But after watching Mexico play the U.S. and watching their
Oh yeah, like Julian Araujo after that mistake, he's been on absolutely like under fire.
yeah,
Like you should have anticipated that ball. That ball is coming in, and you're just standing there and just not doing anything. When that ball comes in, you have to go after the ball.
like I'm sure he's a young talented player. I mean, he's much closer to Messi than I'll ever be. But of course, it's one of those things that like it really gives you no hope because you have two players that aren't really fit to be in the team that both are in the same
Yeah,
position. And it's hard to lose two players that play the same position because that gives you less depth in said position. Now, our
that's
our
true.
current yeah our
But
current
but but, but for example, like, I'm sorry to cut you off, but Kunde, he has said that he's willing to play in the right back position for another season. That's been confirmed, and I don't know what to make of that. For example, because I really want Joao Cancelo, but for example, if Barcelona they prioritize Arda Romeo and they prioritize, for example, like Arda Guler or Vitor Roque, finalizing those deals over getting a right back, it makes sense. But at the same time, do we really want to have Kunde playing as a right back?
listen, I'll tell you this right now. I'll make it very clear. If Conde isn't allowing goals in, if all he's doing is just not creating anything up top, I'll take it. I don't care. Like I know Barca likes having overlapping wing backs and
Yeah,
fullbacks that get involved in the attack. If Conde can just not lose the ball and not give the ball away stupidly and just not get scored on every game, I'm fine with that. He doesn't
and
he
just
doesn't have to be
defend.
giving exactly. I just want him to defend. I don't need him to be. I know that's not what Xavi wants, but I don't need him to be delivering inch perfect crosses or
Yeah,
beating
or overlapping or anything like that,
exactly
or
like
beating his man.
he doesn't have to be doing that. It would be nice, but we know the type of player he is, and he's a
Yeah.
great defender. But listen, my yeah, I honestly to answer the question though, what I would do with Dest and Araujo, I would just sell them both or terminate
So,
their contract for.
I mean, we just signed the Rajo. That's the thing. Like we just bought
I
him.
know, and you know what? Then I'll take it back. That's true. Get rid of Dest. Give Araujo maybe one more season to do something. If he doesn't do anything, sell his ass.
So
Uh, I honestly do think that outside of buying Guler, I would really go for Cancelo.
Cancelo.
But that's just me. I think that would it would do a lot for the squad. But again, Xavi knows best. I really do think that would be a great signing for us because then worst case scenario, you're putting Conde center back with Araujo.
Okay, I asked you this. What's your priority for this summer? Because the targets are Inigo Martinez. That's basically done. We just need some room in the wage bill in order to finalize that deal. You have Inigo Martinez. You have Arda Guler. You have Vitor Roque. You have Arda Romeo. You have Joao Cancelo, and I think Frame Diaz or someone like a Diaz player from who plays for the Uruguayan national team, who's a CDM, who's very young, who's very talented. But in that order, what signings would you like to prioritize?
I would say Romeo Guler.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, in order. Yikes. I'd probably say Romeo, Cancelo, Guler, and then the rest you can just figure out.
Wait, I mean, like, wouldn't you want Vitor Roque?
Oh yeah, I completely forgot. Third, Roque. Fourth, Guler. I'm actually gonna have to agree with you. I think Roque will be more important.
Yeah, for example, I'm going the two signings that definitely need to be made, like absolutely like a must, is first Oil Romeo from Girona. The price, he's worth 5 million on the market right now. That's his valuation. Girona want that release clause to be paid, which is 10 million. Barcelona want to lower it down, maybe 8 million around there. And I know people were angry, like, hey, we're not signing Amrabat and everything. After his moment, like that amazing tackle against Mbappe, that went absolutely viral. But there are videos of Romeo doing the exact same thing. There's a video out there on Twitter, guys, if you want to go on a look, of him doing the same thing to Rafinha, for I think believe the Southampton or in the Prem. But I believe first go for Romeo, then go for Vitor Roque, who boosts the attack. Third, go for Arda Guler, and fourth, look for that right back position, because we do have, like, I
That
know it's
boy
not the
does
most.
not want to right back.
I mean, hey, we
No, but
need a backup striker, we
I
need a
understand.
talented midfielder, and we need his pivot.
Yeah, it's just to be honest with you, like, and I don't blame Xavi. He does have a lot of problems at hand right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost, whoever he wants to sign, he has to make sure that he can be financially stable enough to afford it. We do forget that Barca are still in a lot of financial problems, which of course are getting better, but still it's not linear, right? This takes some time.
Yeah, it's just FFP, guys. Like, hey, Barcelona, they're having a problem with FFP. They need people to leave in order for players to come, and people are not leaving. This is why we're talking about this. We need departures. We need players to leave the club. Another player who's staying at the club is Ferran Torres. I mentioned this in one of the news roundup videos. Ferran Torres is staying at the club. He made it. He gave an interview, and he basically reaffirmed his future, that he's staying at the club. He feels confident. He wants to prove to Xavi that he's a very good player, that he's an important player for the club. He said his mentality is that of a bull, and that he wants to prove people wrong. And so
I mean,
that's just
maybe he can give that talk to his father-in-law, Luis Enrique, when he was at the Spanish team, but that's not gonna work here. Like, who's he gonna start over? Dembele? Maybe if he's injured, but even then, like,
I mean, he's going to be like a squad player at best, I would say.
I mean, I'm okay with that. What I'm not okay with is Sergio Roberto still at the club.
He's a captain.
Is anyone gonna
He's our captain, bro.
is
Oh my
anyone gonna
god,
explain
that's
to me
so
that our
sad.
captain is someone who does not get regular minutes?
I mean, Manchester United's
No, but
captain.
like, I really want to understand, because why? And this is something that really does boil my blood. And Barca always announces this when they're doing well. Whenever Barca are doing well, whenever they won a Clásico, whenever they've done something major, they always announce Sergio Roberto
Contract renewal.
contract renewal. Like what's the point? What are we getting from here? Because outside of the final goal in remontada and that run that he gave the assist to Messi in that Clásico,
That's basically it.
no offense, but he hasn't done shit.
Yeah.
This guy is
Bro,
dead.
he's been the player who punches in at school, but basically like the perfect attendance record.
But what's the point? Like, I really don't understand it, because maybe if it's someone that's genuinely helping the team, hey, so and so got injured, play, that's fine. And I'm not saying he plays badly. Sometimes he has some games where he's decent, but he's a very mid player, and he's just occupying space. He's getting paid. I don't know why he's getting paid pretty high wages, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, his wages, they are being lowered. He's on reasonable wages right now, because like he was on like a Bartomeu era contract. Just that's no longer the case.
But still,
But for
what's
example,
yeah?
Sergio Roberto did say that he wants to stay at the club as the captain for at least one more season. and just like, oh, I
Send
mean,
his ass to Saudi Arabia. I don't know what to tell you.
send
Like,
his ass to
send me with
Saudi
the
Arabia.
camels. I don't care.
Saudi
Like,
Arabia, if you're listening, 15 million and he's all
free.
yours.
No, you take him for free. I don't care. Like,
Take it for free.
I just want to get rid of him. It's just like I really don't see the point in keeping a player like that at the club. Like, I think that's something fundamentally wrong with the club. Like, not being bold enough to just tell the players, hey, listen, I like that you like the club and that you're a fan, but get the fuck out. We don't need you.
Get
And,
the-
and I
but,
feel like that's something that, I mean, I don't know how Xavi is because
but
obviously
but how can they force them out? Because the only issue would be like, hey,
terminate
don't
their
take like,
contract.
but then you have to pay like the remaining of the contract, and Barcelona don't have that.
That's true, but that's my point. Like, that's something that, again, it's easier said than done. Like, it's not something that you can just simply solve with just saying, hey, like, can you please leave? We really don't want you here. Like, I think Barca has to offer their players to other clubs. Like, even if you don't care, we don't want you. Make it abundantly clear. If you have to burn that bridge, burn it. But if you're gonna put the future of your club in jeopardy because, yeah, you've been here since like Messi made his debut, I don't care. If you're not important, you leave. And
Okay.
listen, I have so much respect for players like Busquets and Jordi Alba because yes, for the longest time, especially Jordi Alba was a burden to the team. He was someone that wasn't in his prime anymore, would concede goals regularly, would get absolutely destroyed by any quick winger. And I'm saying no, and I'm saying mainly him because it's true.
Yeah.
Busquets still until the very end, he was an important player, very vital in that midfield,
Uh-huh.
just different. But players like them, same with Piquet, players that realize, hey, I'm not doing the team any good. I don't know why the fuck I'm here. Leave.
Yeah.
You will get signed anywhere. I promise you. You can go to Inter Miami, for instance. You're gonna get paid nice money. Like, if what you really care about is being part of the club, I don't know, like retire, become part of the coaching staff. But like, if you're just gonna be there occupying space and making the club waste money on you, who isn't doing anything, like,
Okay. So, to run off the episode, what departures do you think are gonna happen this summer?
to be honest with you, I'm gonna have to go ahead and say that Langley is gonna be one of them.
Okay.
Um,
Do you think that Des is going to be leaving? Do you think that, for example, the two confirmed right now? I mean, the only one confirmed is Umtiti. He's the only departure. But for example, we're going to have Lenglet coming back for a loan. We're going to have Des coming back for a loan.
yeah. So look, I think the ones that I
Another
would,
player that's coming back on loan is Abde, Nico. Will are
right,
these
so,
players that you would keep or keep with the squad or get rid of? Because these are
listen,
played with a market.
yeah. Listen, I really do think let go of obviously Umtiti. You let go of Langley.
Okay.
Try to let go of Dest.
Okay.
And as for Abde and Nico, try to see if there's any way you can get offers for them because yes, I know they're exciting young players, yada yada, but they don't have a place in the first team right now.
Yeah,
Neither,
I would say that, for example, like Abde,
maybe
he
Abde,
does because we
maybe
don't
Abde.
have a left winger, and for example, Nico as like a substitute CDM. I don't know.
But look,
That could be an option as a
feel
squad
like
player. As a squad player,
yeah, but I feel like we're falling into the trap of yeah, maybe if this happens, but
you're right. You're right. Yeah.
yeah, like then you're gonna make a 40-man roster filling every position, and that's really not
Yeah.
how it is. You gotta
Yeah.
find
That's right.
players that can play multiple positions, and if need be, just get in when you're needed.
Okay. Kessie, Ferran Torres, Rafinha, Ansu Fati. Are any of these players leaving?
I would like to see Cassie leave.
Okay.
I know we're probably not gonna be able to sell him for as much as we bought him, which is kind of a shame because yeah, we'll be losing money. But um, Ferran Torres isn't gonna leave because for some reason we value him like he's the greatest player of all time. Again, Luis Enrique is not the coach of Barcelona. If you guys haven't
He's the
realized,
coach for PSG.
right? So that's where he should go. He should go with his father-in-law.
Yeah,
I really
he's
don't see the
probably-
point. I mean, no, but he is. He is either married or dating his daughter. I don't know, something like that. But my point is, try to let go of Kessie if you can. Ferran Torres will be a blessing to let go of him, but realistically, if maybe you can let go of Rafinha and get some money, and maybe try to go for someone like Bernardo Silva.
I mean, I doubt that.
Well,
Uh,
that's actually something I would propose. Tell Newcastle, hey, don't give me Bruno Guimaraes, give me Rafinha and 80 million or 70 million. Maybe that's a little too much, but
hmm.
somewhere north of 50, and then try to get Bernardo Silva. Like, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. But the thing is with Bernardo Silva, he is being rumored with a deal with PSG, either with PSG or from a team with, from Saudi Arabia. So
I promise you. Bernardo Silva's like what, 28, 29?
yeah,
I mean, I don't want to assume. I'm guessing he's around that age.
yeah.
If Barcelona tell him, hey, listen, come play with us,
Alex, the amount of money that Saudi Arabia is offering is absolutely insane.
okay,
Brozovic got 100 million
that's
over three
fine.
years.
That's fine. But listen,
I'm sorry, but you don't say no to that.
yes, you do say no if you care about your career and your legacy. If you're leaving
Oh,
to,
okay, but I ask you this: only one, I would say, less than 1% of players are remembered for their legacy. Like, for example, who remembers who played for, I don't know, Chelsea in that squad where in 2012 when they won the Champions League? Like a bench player, for example. You only remember the greats. You only, for example, Barcelona, you only remember the greats. You
but
don't remember, for example,
but that isn't that your legacy?
no, I'm saying, like, for example, as the player, as for example, as a Bernardo Silva, in 30 years time, we're not going to remember these players.
Okay, but we're not gonna remember him for him going to Saudi Arabia and becoming a multi-billionaire. We're
No,
gonna
no, no,
remember.
but that's exactly that. It's as a player, do you value legacy or money?
I value possibly winning another Champions League. Yes, I value legacy because okay, listen. Obviously, it's much different when you're being offered the 100 million than when you're like. Yes, it's
But
much easier to say from our point of view.
that's generational wealth
I understand that.
for
But-
anyone in general.
Okay, but if you're smart enough, you can still make generational wealth. You already won the Premier League several times. You won, excuse me, you won the
I
treble.
mean, for example,
You won the UCL.
for Bernardo Silva, you just came off a treble. Isn't this a good time to get that offer of 100 million, or like, or
No,
that
because
insane amount?
you're
Because, for
still
example, you don't know that offer is going to be there on the table in 2-3 years time.
you will. Maybe not 100 million, but
You
it'll
don't
still
know. For example, Eden Hazard, he was at Real Madrid for what? For 4 years? For 4 years. After those 4 years, do you think he's getting an offer from Saudi? No. So, like, as the player, you are taking a risk.
yeah,
So
but
all I'm just saying is that players such as Bernardo Silva, players who are or Gundogan, all these players who are very talented, who are very good, they're debating either legacy or money, because I'm just saying that we
listen,
need.
if you wanna listen, I agree with yeah, get your bag when you're old and you've already done something. But if you're like in your early 30s or you're like in your late 20s and you really are that desperate about the money, just say you're a mercenary. Just say,
Maybe, but
just
at the end of the
really
day,
care
isn't
about
it
the
a
money.
job? Like, isn't it a job?
It is a job, but it's not like you're getting paid shambles. Like you're still a millionaire.
Yeah,
And listen, the better you are,
hey,
the more
being paid
sponsors.
9 million versus being paid 100, that's a huge
I
difference.
agree with you, but you're still you're living in a better country.
You
A
are.
you're living somewhere where your family is closer by, which is something so also something we're not considering, i.e. Messi. Hello, like he literally didn't go to Saudi Arabia because of his family.
Yeah, but that's Messi. Like, hey,
Yeah, that's
like
fine. But
Messi's worth like 600 million.
okay,
Like,
I agree. I agree with you, but these people are human too. The second thing, if you're good enough and you're still playing at a high level and people still see you and respect you, like no one's gonna watch these players in Saudi Arabia realistically. Maybe a few people, but you're not gonna see like people watching it like it's the Premier League or like it's the La Liga. Like
yeah.
if the better you are at a competitive level that people still watch and respect you, like you're gonna get deals, you're gonna get sponsorships, like you're still gonna be making money. Like I understand it's a lot of money, but like like is it really worth it? Like are you really gonna go to like a country that's much different from where you've been used to living? A very different.
Well, I mean, this is a good conversation, and like,
I don't think money is everything, even in
no,
sports.
but for example, like, I think we will have this conversation because, like, Alex, we are seeing like a lot of players going to Saudi Arabia. Like, Saudi Arabia is throwing enormous amounts of money. We're seeing players such as Benzema, Ronaldo, Kante, Ruben Neves, Edward Mendy, Koulibaly, and so many players. I think it's what's it called? Riyad Mahrez. I think he's in talks with Saudi. More and more players are going to Saudi Arabia, and just like the amount of money that's being thrown at these players is absolutely insane. But that's a conversation that we can have another day. But guys, that was it for tonight's episode. What do you make of the new offside rule that we discussed? Are you guys in favor for that rule? We are not in favor of that rule. We think it's going to be a negative for football. But what do you know? We could be wrong. What do you guys make of the rule? Are you guys in agreement? What do you make of Arda Guler? Would you guys want him to come to Barcelona this season, or would you guys want him to come next season and have some more time in Turkey, developing and improving his football, knowing that minutes they're not guaranteed at Barcelona, especially in the position that he plays in that right center mid position. Just there's so much quality. And what do you guys make of the? Yes, we're just finishing right now. And lastly, what do you guys make of the departures needed for, in the club? We are talking about players such as Titi, players such as Lenglet, Dest, Ferran Torres possibly. But guys, let us know everything down below in the comments, and we'll see you guys all in the next episode.